Hello Internet, Alex from Barefaced here again, and continuing with our investigations into Celestion 12-inch guitar drivers. And I wanted to have a think about 2x12 pairings, so essentially where you have two different 12-inch speakers in one rig. Now that could be done either with two separate 1x12 cabs, so for instance our Reformers or our Usurpers or Radicals, they're three different sizes of 1x12 cab, or in a Radical 2x12, which can be had two different ways, so the standard one, or, well actually there's three different ways, standard one, lower tuned one, or a dual AVD one, or in our Uprising, which is our vertical 2x12, which has a dual AVD always. And that will end up with different tonal results. Now, I was looking online to see what people suggest in terms of mixed drivers, because we've had quite a lot of orders for mixed driver cabs, which as a bassist it completely confused me some years ago, and I was like, why would you be doing this? Because they behave differently and you don't tend to get the best of both worlds in the world of bass if you mix two different drivers, because they interact in quite a complicated way, particularly at the lower frequencies. But in guitar it's a different thing, and I think we can think about why that is, because it's quite rare to double track bass on a recording. Generally one bass sounds best, one track of bass sounds best. There's a few unusual examples with multiple basses, rarely more than two, or more than two tracks. But with guitar, it's a lot more common to multi-track guitar to add width and thickness and complexity and stuff to the sound. And I think that is the reasoning and part of why two different speakers in a guitar rig, in one cab or two cabs, or in four different speakers if you wanted, can sound very good on guitar. So here were some suggestions I found online. So what I thought I'd do is run through these, give you my thoughts about how I think they should work, and then ask you guys which of them you'd like us to demo first, because it's going to take quite a long time to get through. Well, there's sort of an infinite number of combinations of drivers we can do even just within the Celestion range. But let's have a think. So someone suggested, these are, I think most of these off the Celestion website. They should know what they're doing, shouldn't they? G12H Anniversary and Celestion Blue. So you've got the Anniversary and the Blue. So that's Alnico, that's a ferrite. That's relatively transparent, but in that way that Alnico kind of compresses in a friendly way as it gets louder. That's more aggressive, so you're going to have detail from that, more aggressive mids from that. Gold. So gold, that's a warmer Alnico, and Vintage 30, which is very clean and clear, maybe a bit clinical, so can the gold warm that up? Now, just so you know, when you are pairing different speakers, if you put a 15 watt speaker in and a 50 watt speaker, that isn't a 50 watt cab, it's not a 65 watt cab, it's a 2 times 15, because basically your power will be, assuming the speakers are equal impedance, the power will be split equally between the two speakers, so your maximum power is double the lowest rated speaker. So if it's got a blue in there, which is the lowest rated one, 15 watts, your 212 is going to be 30 watts regardless of what other speaker in you put in it. You could put a 300 watt speaker in and a 15 watt speaker, it's still only going to be a 30 watt 2x12. Greenback, G12M Greenback plus Vintage 30. That's an interesting suggestion, that, from Celestion, because that is a 100 dB speaker, sensitivity wise. That is a 97 dB speaker, so the Vintage 30 is going to dominate the sound quite a bit. So you're going to get Vintage 30 tone, but some warmth, but then your power handling is going to be limited by this one being a 25 watt speaker, so it's a 50 watt cab. Could sound really cool. I'm very curious about that. Vintage 30 plus G12T75. So that is basically, that's going to get you more mids and dryness. That's quite a rock combination, V30 and G12T75. Sort of harder, tighter than dual Vintage 30s. Vintage 30 plus Creamback H. That makes quite a lot of sense to me, because that is a warmer, richer speaker. That's got the top and the bottom. I think I'll pair it quite nicely. Vintage 30 plus Neo Creamback. Now that's an interesting one, because a Vintage 30 is quite a lot louder than a Neo Creamback. as with the G12M greenback, but that could be, that's got a sort of rich, yes, Let me know if you've tried any of these pairings, because everyone's going to have different opinions depending on the guitar they've put into them, the amp, the pedals, their settings, what they're after. It's very complex, but quite interesting world that I want to explore further. It would be really nice if at Barefaced we can help you find unique and special sounds for the music you're making, whether you're playing covers or tribute bands, or whether you're creating your own thing and your own things in a certain style, or whether you're trying to do something completely unique and different. I think it's quite fun to attack it in different ways. G12M 65 creamback and the G12H 75 creamback. You see, this makes a lot of sense to me because they're similar speakers in some ways, but also different in some ways. So that is more aggro, that is warmer and more mellow. So are the two of them going to bring out the best of each other? And as the Neo creamback sits kind of between the two, how's the dual Neo creamback going to compare to these two combined? And then also, what about the M65 creamback with a Neo or the H75 creamback with the Neo? That's quite an interesting combination. I mean, I would suggest with our cabs that you shouldn't be, unless you have a medical issue that means you can't pick up the cab. Our cabs are very light, so you don't need to go putting Neo speakers in them to make them even lighter generally. But if you do want to lose some weight, can you put a Neo creamback with one of the other creambacks and get a really great tone, which is similar, gets you the ferrite sound? It may be that you end up miking the ferrite one on your gigs because that mic's better, but then actually on stage the Neo creamback brings a bit of clarity, which is an interesting concept. Another one that was suggested was V-type plus A-type. So the V-type is kind of somewhere between a V30 and an M65 creamback in vibe, so it's cleaner and clearer than that, but also warmer and mellower than that. This is darker but cleaner. This is your sort of more American sound, so suited for amps that are more toppy. So yeah, I can't quite work that out, but I've heard quite a few people online talking about A-type plus V-type, and people have asked me about that one as well. One I'm particularly curious about is the Neo 250 Copperback plus the BN12 300S, because that is originally designed for bass and is great for really thunderous, deep guitar sounds, down-tuned stuff. This is very clean and clear, but quite lean and tight, so kind of tilted in a brighter direction. So if that one has got this low to high vibe, so less lows, more highs, and if that one is more that way, they're both very loud. That's 100 dB sensitivity, that's 99 dB sensitivity. They handle a huge amount of power, so a cab with two of these in would be a 500 watt power handling 2x12. Yeah, that could be wicked. And when we put these in our cabs, we end up with a lot more options than in conventional guitar cabs, because in conventional guitar cabs you've basically got closed back, open back, semi-open back, which is total lack of science, and they vary a lot in how they work, but generally they've got the open back low frequency cancellation thing going on, which you can't avoid, and also a degree of bounce inside, which is going to colour it, probably not in a good way. There's porty cabs as well, but generally guitar cabs, they just are how they are. What's with our AVD ones, we can choose to mix up having one AVD or two AVDs, which is going to change the balance of the mids in the room from the different speaker. With a vertical 212, obviously you've got the speaker on top dominating the treble that you're more likely to hear at your listening position on stage. And there's also stuff we can do with different tunings. We can tune AVD cabs lower if you're looking to down tune, so that's another world to explore. So yeah, that was some of my thoughts on pairing different speakers. So that's mixed 2x12s. So yeah, let me know what you've tried. Let me know whether you've tried it with two separate 112s or within a 212 or done the 412 thing. I think it's quite popular to do the X-type, so you've got matching there and there, and then there and there being the different two. So But I don't think we want to be heading down the 4x12 road most of the time, because you don't need it for the output. And if you can bring the stage volume down and, you know, use the PA a bit, if you make the sound better on stage, everyone plays better. And if you get the level right in the room, everyone enjoys the gig more. You know, we don't want quiet gigs, but you don't need to go deaf at gigs. But you've got to get the stage volume in a way that everyone can hear each other and play properly, so you don't have those gigs where you say to someone in your band, well, that was a good gig, wasn't it? And they go, was it? I couldn't really hear anything. I mean, how many times has a drummer said that to you at the end of a gig? And they were like, well, I was just watching, listening, and doing my best, you know? It's like, well, if they couldn't hear it, could they play as well as they wanted to? If the singer can't hear it, if you can't hear each other, can you interact and make the music happen? Because it is an interactive thing. We are not just pressing play on a hi-fi system. Yeah. Tell me what you tried. Tell me what you want to try. Tell me what you want to hear. And on the subject of demoing, there's quite a lot of videos on the internet, YouTube and such like, of how different guitar speakers sound. Everyone's close miking them. And I'm like, well, tell me if I'm crazy. But why, if you want to hear what a speaker sounds like, are you close miking it? Unless you're wanting to hear what a speaker sounds like, you know, out front in the PA system or when recorded. Surely if you hear the whole speaker, you know, all the sound from the speaker, not just what the mic's picking up where it happens to be, that is more instructive of what it's going to actually sound like to you. Yeah, I mean, I understand not far miking it and getting loads of reverb of the room. I mean, but it just... We're trying to demo what the speakers and the cabs sound like, so surely get the sound in the room like you're going to hear it, because as I can explain in other videos, speakers have a polar pattern. The response varies depending on where you listen to the speaker, and you know, if you've mic'd a cab, you know where you point the mic. It makes a huge difference to the sound. So why close mic it if you actually want to demonstrate what it sounds like? That's my thoughts anyway. I mean, this started with a kind of laziness thing. Well, it's not so much laziness as I have a lot of things to do. I have a business to run, I have products to build, you know, we have a lot to do here, so we are not YouTubers. We are fitting this in between doing everything else. So if I can press record, talk, stop recording, and then upload it with no edits, it's done fast and we can create content without actually stopping the business running. But yeah, surely you want to hear it properly. So we've got a very honest mic on top of the camera that's up there. I think if we're doing cab stuff, we'll bring the camera down lower so it's closer to a listening position. But really, I mean, that's about 1.5 inches above my ear level. So if you're 6'1", 6'2", a bit taller than me, you know, that's ear level to you anyway. But yeah, let's bring it down to a more reasonable height, you know, where ears on most people, that much below the top of your head. So I'm fairly average Northern European man, and, you know, people from hotter climes and women, you know, are going to be smaller on average. But yeah, if we put the mic at a sensible height, you'll hear the truth. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and I'll see you soon. So yeah, tell me what you want to hear. We'll do it. Lots of styles. Tell me the styles you want to hear the different ones in. And my guitar wielders, Axemen. No ex-women at the moment here, sadly, but the Axemen will do their thing. Goodbye. See you next time.